Hey everybody, welcome to ArtBeast. My name is John. I was the production coordinator of Rider Resurgence last semester, and I'm one of the students producing ArtBeast this year. I'm really excited to bring to you a little playwriting work panel with our amazing playwrights from last semester, which will answer some questions and little discussions about the playwriting process and their process going forward. So before we do that, all the players introduce themselves really quickly. We'll start with Spencer and John. So you guys introduce yourselves, what show you guys wrote together, and little things about you guys. So you guys can go ahead and start.
Hi, I'm Spencer Petro.
I'm John Vigiano.
Awesome. You guys say that again? I think I heard you guys.
Hi, I'm Spencer Petro.
I'm John Vigiano.
And what play did you guys write?
Together we wrote He, She.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Awesome. So go to Kate.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate DeLong and I wrote Greek Morality.
Awesome. Megan.
Cool, and I am Megan Rabb and I wrote Touch and Exploration.
Awesome. So those are amazing playwrights tonight. So like I said earlier, these four wrote plays in Rider Resurgence. That's one of our productions last fall where we had a professional playwriting playwright called Camila Bush from the Two River Theater here in New Jersey, who came into a workshop for us and helped us write their plays, and we produced them. They ended out really good. So my first question for you guys is, as first-time playwrights, what was the most challenging part? What was the most fun part of your process? Like, talk through the process of writing your plays for the first time. Kate, we'll start with you.
Wow, okay. Yeah, it was very interesting because going into it, I had a lot of preconceived ideas about what I wanted to write and what I should be writing. And the wonderful Camila Bush walked us through this workshop where she had us come up with just ideas and of random people and places and things and just nouns that we were kind of feeling that day. And I came up with a lot of them that I wouldn't have otherwise. And I just kind of like a giant, like, I don't even know what, like just a giant gumball machine shook everything up and just dispensed ideas and mashed them together and produced Greek Morality. So it was a very odd experience. I think the hardest part of it for me was just length-wise. My brain is very sporadic and I can't write really long things because I like to keep my things short and simple. So keeping it short and simple without it sounding rushed or without it sounding too plain was really, really difficult. So I really had to go back in and like add a bunch more drama to it. And then also thinking about it in a perspective of a play and, you know, characters and having their wants and needs and objectives in place was also very difficult because I'm used to writing fiction, which, you know, none of that you really have to think about. You think about the broad picture, but not so much in individual characters and like what they want or what they need. So that was very interesting to dive into. And I think the whole experience helped me write my fiction. So yeah, that was kind of my general process.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kate. So Spencer and John, you guys are different. You guys actually wrote a musical. What was that like? I know, so Spencer wrote the book. For those who don't know, Spencer wrote the book and John wrote the music for it. It was a beautiful production. For you guys as a musical, what were the different challenges writing a musical, different from play? What was that experience like with the whole musical and like helping merge the song and text in the way? So how did that work for you guys?
Well, genuinely, it was very tough. I have been writing for years, but my biggest issue is being able to finish things. Mm-hmm. I'm horrible at finishing things. I always start a project with this idea in hand, and it's trusting myself enough that I can finish the process. And luckily, I have this genius sitting here next to me. And I was like, hey, here's the concept I'm thinking about. Here it is. Here's somewhat of what I want to go for. And he was like, hey, cool, that sounds great, let's do it. And I was literally able to just draft monologues and paragraphs of these character psyches these characters' inner monologues, what these characters were thinking about. And I was like, hey, John, here's what I'm thinking, make it into music. And he literally just then did make it into music.
No, we actually we started with nothing but text. Like I didn't write any music until we had a full script worth of text. So it was like lyrics that had no music to them. I mean, I heard something in my brain, but I didn't really like actually act on the music until we had like a full book ready to go. And I think it worked out better that way because we were able to kind of make a cohesive book together, and then I added music on top of it that would also be cohesive with the book and the rest of the score. So
yeah, it was very interesting to write a cute little one-act moment through just like a sweet little brainchild of his musical genius and my emotional crises as a human being.
Yeah, definitely. So, because you guys are together and we're in such a world right now, we're very much apart in COVID. How was working together in like on Zoom? Like you guys had Zoom meetings. Like how is working together apart? How's that different from working together as you usually would?
It's weird because it felt very isolating. Like we would all kind of meet on Zoom and then go off and do our own thing. Like I know that like we with the production team would meet on Zoom and be like, oh, cool, this, that. And then I would go off on my own and I would feel so alone with it. And normally when we're in person, like everyone's in a room together and we're kind of like, creating it as we go. But I just had to kind of just sit alone with my thoughts. And I'm sure, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but like sitting alone with my thoughts was just kind of weird because theater is this collaborative art. And it was weird being so isolated while trying to collaborate with other people. I don't know.
I mean, the interesting part about at least our collaboration is the fact that I feel like we have very similar ideas. We share a very similar like wavelength that we operate on. So it was while it was John being like, hey, what do we think about this scene? And then me taking like 2 hours to myself to like think and type, like everything he would bring to me and everything I would bring to him felt very much like, oh, that makes sense. I get it. This exists on the same playing field that we were creating together, which felt very nice, which, is fortunate. It's not very common in a duo to be consistently on the same wavelength, which was really nice.
Awesome, thank you guys. So Megan, for those who don't know Megan is actually a very experienced playwright in her own. She's written a lot of plays before. Megan, what made this play in New Works different from the other plays you've written? Like, what are the new challenges you faced in this specific play that you wrote?
Yeah, so this is one of the first things that I've written completely on my own. I like to work with other people. So that was like challenging in itself, not having someone immediately there to like bounce ideas off of and stuff. But I like to work in kind of like devising and stuff like that. So I knew I wanted to work with Dylan to put up the show. So this show was cool because I got to explore that a lot and just kind of write the text as more of like a recipe book for Dylan to then take and like translate into something real. So there was a lot that I put in that was just like, I don't know, like explore what it means to want to touch something. And that's scene 3. And then he like would take that and run with it. So that was cool. It was challenging to like have the freedom to do it all myself, but I kind of used that to challenge myself to work as just a playwright and then like let someone else take on the role of director. So that was really fun.
Yeah, definitely. So my next question for you guys is, for Rider New Works was done completely remote. We had rehearsals on Zoom, production meetings on Zoom, everything was remote. So my question for you guys is, in the whole production aspect of making your plays happen, Zoom stinks, we know that, but what was the difficulties you found in doing an entire production apart from each other online? What was that process like for you guys? Megan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I wasn't super involved in the rehearsal process because I kind of just wanted to like step away and let that happen. But I guess some of the challenge was just like not having people's energy in the room. Like we did we did the first reading on Zoom. And sometimes there's like lags and like other computer stuff that just like gets in the way, and that can be really challenging. And then just like not being sure if it's like just, oh, the sound was off because it's computer, or like, oh no, like the line is lacking in energy. Like that type of stuff was really tricky to figure out over computer.
Definitely. And for Kate, Spencer, and John, you guys did rehearsals on Zoom, but you actually got the opportunity to film in person. Social distance, of course, we had so many different guidelines we had to follow to make everything safe. What was your process like going from remote to in person and that whole filming in person experience? We're all theater students, like we all used to live theater. What was that experience like, both of you guys in person going to that more film setting? Spencer and John, I'll start with you.
Well, it was interesting because we had music, right? So there was like pre-recorded singing that needed to happen, and that was all remote. So that was definitely challenging because teaching music over Zoom is just not ideal in any way, shape, or form. And then everyone having different recording equipment because, you know, we didn't really have a budget to get everyone the same equipment to use, was a challenge just because we had to mix down everyone, or I'd mix down everyone. And then I would make some edits like in timing, maybe perhaps that that they would go record to, and like they were like, oh wait, we changed the timing of this. It was just like, it was so complex and just a lot of moving parts, but I think it worked pretty okay in the end, considering like we couldn't come record together or sing live, you know. I don't know what you can say.
I mean, for me, it was almost a bit anxiety inducing because I handed Dylan my script and I said, all right, cool, you take it, dude. Let's see what happens. And it was so interesting because I didn't hear anything beyond the first reading. I was there for the first reading, I was there for the first rehearsal, and then I kind of just let it happen, which was scary to me because this was the first thing I'd ever really written and shown people. So the next thing I had seen was the rough draft of the video edit that Dylan had put together, and it was oddly gratifying in a sense. And I was like, wow, that's us. We did that. Which is kind of really beautiful. But you know, while this rehearsal process is going on, I'm hearing John's side of how music rehearsals are going, and I'm hearing little bits here and there of the costuming and the set design and what we're thinking. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like rocking back and forth with uncertainty. But in the end, I was blown away, beyond grateful for the experience, and a little choke, if I may, just by the fact that I don't know, I've loved writing for a really long time. So to see something that like I've written with someone that I love so dearly come to life was surreal.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I had similar experiences to Spencer, John, and Megan. When I was on Zoom, it was very hard for the actors to kind of pick up things for each other. The energy would sometimes be down. I also know in live theater, I'm also an actress. So when I'm in rehearsals and reading a script, the emotion and the facial expressions and the body language of my scene partners always affect the way I act. And that's very hard to do over Zoom because the instincts you have as an actor to touch someone is completely erased. So it was very difficult to get, I personally didn't direct my play. I'll say this 1,000 times. I am not a director. I cannot direct. So I had my very good roommate who also did a show, or wrote a show rather, Miss Rebecca Ponicello, direct mine. And she was very good about, despite the circumstances, getting my actors to really work together. I will say the interesting thing about a film versus a play, and doing a film completely on our own, was just the lack of, I guess, regular budget and like experience we all had. I played the cute little double as the playwright and the camera woman, and then also the costume designer. So getting all my ducks in a row was very interesting, because I had to coordinate, well, what do I want the world to look like? What kind of costumes do I want these characters to wear? What does everybody have? And that was a very unique way of approaching it as a playwright, because it took me out a little bit of the writing and the directing, because I was looking at it from a very costume designer brain, and then actually seeing it come together on filming day and being able to, sit with my camera and, oh, I have this, it's sitting right here, but I have this Nikon camera that I filmed with. And so sitting out in the woods in like pretty hot weather, fiddling with my camera and trying to not make the actors look so blurry was definitely a trying experience, but a very interesting one. And the last thing that I noticed that was just very different was masks. The masks that we had to work with, all of our actors were masked, but I know one actress, her mask was a bit too big, so she constantly had to pull it up as she was speaking. And that was something we never really had to contend with before. And it was just like kind of a new challenge that was thrown at the whole cast and my fabulous director who ended up editing the entire thing. But they all pushed through it brilliantly. I think it came out well despite the technical difficulties. And as a playwright, kind of like what Spencer was saying, it was surreal to see my words on their feet, because I've never really had that happen before. I'm much more of a fiction and a nonfiction writer, so it was very, very gratifying, and I felt very proud to have my words put on their feet by an amazing cast and done by an amazing director.
Awesome, definitely. They were all beautiful productions, and I gave me that, even as a stage manager, being in person, seeing it on stage was so surreal, being like, wow, that's what it actually looks like. So that's really true, very true. So my last question will be about 10 minutes, so wrap up this very loaded question. Why is new works important right now in the world we're living in? With the crazy world we're in right now, Spencer, why is new work so important right now in the world we live in? Megan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a loaded question. I think it's so important. I mean, thinking back to when it started, when we were first starting, when we first had the playwriting workshops, it was like in the middle of the pandemic. And I think one of the biggest things that was important about it was that it gave a sense of like connection and a sense of purpose. I think we were all feeling like a little lost and frustrated with being kind of trapped at home and not being able to see people, but to get to like put your words out there and have them be put up by someone and see something that you created impact other people, kind of help fill that void for me at least. And I think even going forward, as we move more into having more in-person sort of normalcy in life and at Rider, it's still really important because we all have so much to say. I think everyone at this school has something important to say and has something really beautiful that they can contribute to the community. So to have a platform for people to do that is really awesome, and I think super necessary.
If New York said one thing, it really gave people a platform to speak their voice, which is very important as well. So that's a really good point. Kate, I'll go to you. Why do you think it's so important in today's world?
I think it's important in today's world, kind of similarly to Megan, to just give people a purpose and an opportunity to do what they love in a world that seems so shut down. I think I can speak for a lot of people here and all over the country when I say, it was devastating when Broadway shut down. It felt like the entire industry as I knew it was changing. And there was nothing I could do about it. And there was no way I could be creative in such a very dark time in our history. but I think having this outlet really inspired a lot of people to get involved and really ignited creative fires all over the place. And the one cool thing that I think came out of it is a lot of people discovered different avenues that they might have not considered before going down, and ignited new passions within them, like first-time playwriters and directors and designers, and maybe people who wanted to try their hand at acting could do so. And I think it was just such a cool way for people to find maybe a new love in life, especially if they were struggling to find who they were as an artist in the time of COVID, like I know I was. This project really opened up a lot of doors that I thought, were closed to me because I wasn't experienced. And it was just a really cool way to kind of dip my toe into a lot of things, including the film medium, to get a chance to work with that we had never really gotten a chance to work for before COVID. So that was amazing. And I think this project is great, and that it should continue even after, COVID hopefully passes.
Yeah, so definitely. So little news also, Rider New Works will be returning next year. So how New Works is going to work on Rider next year is that there'll be a class in the fall, a playwriting class in the fall, and all the playwrights in that class will showcase their performances in the spring in Rider New Works. So so for all you on the Zoom, stay tuned for next spring, Rider New Works in person, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. So I'm really happy that this project that we all made together is going to be a part of Rider forever and ever. So that's really cool. Spencer and John, why do you think COVID's so? Why do you think COVID's so important? Why do you think these new plays are important right now?
I genuinely believe that in any generation, the young voices are the most important. There are a couple reasons I think this. I think that, it seems that an older generation chooses to believe that we are ignorant a lot of the time to what's happening. And I have these conversations with my grandparents and their friends and stuff. They do believe we are ignorant to the times and whatnot, which is fair. We all experience a lot of different experiences, for lack of a better word. But what I think is so important is that younger voices are able to analyze not only what we're going through now, but what we have gone through. And I think that the culmination of our works in a more expansive and a more accepting in just a general setting are able to speak to the human experience closer and closer and closer. And that's why I feel like, at least for me, that Rider New Works were so important. It was the ability to express and dissect and really analyze my own situation, my own experience with certain things that I hoped spoke to a general audience. And I think that Rider New Works is so important is because, college age people, we see so many fabulous playwrights, so many notable composers come out of their college's versions of the Rider New Works, their college's versions of, student-run theater. And it really is because young voices have so much to say. And I believe so much in that, that there is this beautiful untapped energy in them. And I feel that with this project, we can really begin to get into the very vein of that and speak to, the ether out there of really what the human experience is and what the human experience can be. So that to me is why it's really important. That really got so deep, and I apologize greatly. But that's where I am at personally, as to why I really loved this experience and why I think it is important.
John, what do you think?
I mean, beyond that cerebral answer there, I will What I think is that what's very important about this is it gives us a kind of a structure that encourages new playwrights and I mean, in my case, composers, but mostly playwrights to kind of hone their craft in a way, because we haven't really had anything like this so far. Like, you know, the workshops were really great because, you know, we got these prompts and then we said, okay, now draft a scene, now draft a script, and then let's put it into production. There was steps and structure along the whole way that we kind of didn't really have before at Rider, and that gave us as young playwrights an outlet to channel some of the things we wanted to say or feel through this project. And I think that was really great because I don't know if I would have ever gotten into composition or lyric writing if it weren't for this this opportunity. So I think that it's really cool and exciting that we finally have something like this that we haven't really had before, because, you know, the Bronquay and Rider Student Theater Company and Westminster Players, you know, we all have those outlets available, but we don't have that structure that this new works process gave us. And I think that's what really made everyone shine in the end. So, yeah.
Well said, guys. Well said. Well, it's 9:14, so I want to wrap up. So thank you once again. Thank all you players so much for reaching out again and coming to do this little panel. I really appreciate you guys coming back into New Works for a quick night. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate you guys, and I love you all dearly. So yeah, for everybody, thank you so much for coming to the panel today. After this, make sure you head back to YouTube Live for the rest of our programming tonight of ArtBeast 2021, the Rider Resurgence. We'll have performances from NJ Ballet and many more great organizations, so please check out for that. So yeah, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful night and enjoy your summer, everybody. Have a good one.